Hello and welcome to the update for the weekend of January 10th. This past week, many people returned to their workplace, and for some that was return to a workplace with masks and restrictions in place. For others, return to the workplace might have been a move from their couch to their dining room table or maybe their home office as they were working at home. But either way, I hope that you have had a good break over the Christmas time and that you had a good start to 2021. This week, we received confirmation from our leaders that restrictions on gathering are going to extend for at least another 2 weeks. Now, that's no surprise as the levels of infections and the levels of hospitalizations is still pretty high. So I'm praying that those rates would come down and that we would soon reach the vaccination levels that allow the restrictions to be eased. I am grateful that the infection and transmission rates in schools have been low and that students are going to be able to return to school on Monday. So join me in praying for our teachers and praying for our families. Pray also for our healthcare workers and especially those that are at the front lines in facilities in our province that are over capacity. I'm so glad that you are part of our church, and I'm looking forward to the coming year. But of course, there's an awful lot of questions about the coming year. When are we going to be able to meet in person again? When are we going to be able to start children's or youth ministries? And I don't have the answer for those at this point. But I and the Board of Elders, we are continuing to pray for you, and we appreciate so much your patience and your support. As elders, we're beginning to prepare for our annual meeting, and that may have to be different than it usually is if there's restrictions on gathering in place. So we do appreciate your prayers for us as we prepare for that. I continue to work sometimes from home and sometimes from the office, and you're welcome to reach me on my cell phone. The number for that is in the email version of this update. I'd love to hear from you. And I will be working from the church office on usually Tuesdays and Wednesday afternoons from 1 to 5 p.m. So if you do need to drop by to use the Interact machine or drop off an offering, that would be a good time for that. And if that doesn't work, just give me a call and we can arrange a time when you can get into the church office. This week, I'm delighted to be starting a new message series. I admit there's sections of Scripture that I spend less time in than others. And the book of Jeremiah is one of those. But this past month or so, I've been spending some time in that neglected book of Jeremiah. And I've been finding a message that resonates so strongly with our present experience. So this weekend, I'm starting a series from the book of Jeremiah, and I've called it Disruptive Hope. This weekend, we're going to be exploring chapter 1 that places the call of the prophet Jeremiah within the historical setting of the last 40 years of the nation of Judah before the time of the exile. And as Jeremiah describes his call in those disruptive times, we are invited to hear God's voice in the disruptive times in which we find ourselves. Now, if you want to get a quick overview of the entire book of Jeremiah, you can find a video on Right Now Media that's called How to Read Jeremiah. So if you go to Right Now Media, there's a Tophet Alliance tab, and I've got some recommendations in there, and that Jeremiah overview is in those recommendations. This week, we're looking at Jeremiah 1. And in that we find that God told Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." God had a plan and a purpose for Jeremiah at that point, and he has a plan and a purpose for each one of us. It's going to be great to explore that together. So I hope you can join us this weekend for the message online. It's going to be posted on or before Sunday morning. Thanks so much for joining. Look forward to the time we can get together in person again. Take care, and may God bless.